What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Cracked Soccer Podcast, episode 42.
42?
As you may be able to notice, Reyes was scared to show up today. He fled the scene, kind of like Reyes, and my boy Lopez over here is leaving the country after the game on Saturday. Nobody wants to face the lights. Everybody's too scared. But here we are, everybody. Welcome to the Crack Soccer Podcast. And what are you up to, Lopez?
Chilling, bro. We're out here. You mentioned I'm running away. I made my way to Tijuana for my 30th birthday, and here we are in the mysterious motel room. No, I'm out. I'm traveling for work, so if my quality's a little bit low, I apologize. The show must go on.
Somehow it's better. I'm just kidding.
Dang. Got that Google Five for letting me down.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. At least I showed up, man. I'm here to show my face. Like you mentioned, somebody missing here today.
Mm-hmm.
He had some excuse, something about a basketball game or something. I don't know.
He's like,
I don't know.
He's like, let's move the day. And I was like, nah, bro, it's gonna happen now. No, life happens. We're missing him here today. We're probably gonna get something else out all together, maybe in person, not over a call here sometime soon. But before we get into it, I kind of just wanted to say thank you to everybody straight off the bat for the support we got last episode. It's our most viewed episode. So if you watched that, just want to say thank you. Make sure you guys are liking and subscribing. We appreciate the support. Keeps us going on the days that we don't really feel like doing it. So shout out to everybody watching. So give us a like and hit that subscribe button. And
Mama, you made it.
So, I guess we kind of just got to get straight into it, right? Like, there's not much going on.
Nothing big happened. Nothing big happened either, bro.
Nothing big happened. Obviously, this past weekend was the ending of the MLS season. We've been doing this for a minute. We started off the season a little oblivious. We didn't know exactly who was going to come out on top. There was a few names out there. I kept the same name in my mouth from the beginning, and I just happened to get lucky this year. So, we'll get into it and talk about the MLS Cup Final, which was between Inter Miami and the Vancouver Whitecaps. I don't know if you saw this online, but the MLS, I believe it was the MLS, so their name is the Vancouver Whitecaps, right? But there's also a team called Vancouver FC. And during the promo of Inter Miami versus Vancouver, they put Vancouver FC, and the Vancouver Whitecaps were like, "Ooh, what? I didn't know they were playing the final and stuff like that." So they messed up the name somehow. And that was just something funny that I noticed was going on. So,
dang.
Did you watch the final?
No, bro. I was out.
Yeah, you were out. This guy was out in California, dude. He was hiding again. But let me break it down for you, I guess, if you want. I don't know. Have you seen highlights of it by chance?
Yeah. I was able to catch up on a little bit of it. But no, hit me with it, Bern.
Okay, so
I'll just. You have a lot to say.
A quick run. Well, first I'll just go on a quick rundown of the game, kind of get the flow going, and then we can get into a little bit more of the discussion. But so the game starts off pretty well for Inter Miami. I'm gonna look at it real quick. I had everything ready but this. So Messi gets in between two players and does a little chip pass to, I believe, DePaul, and it gets taken up by Allende. Yeah, it's the 8th minute. So it gets taken up by Allende, and he's looking into the middle for Salvetti, and he crosses it in. And unfortunately for Vancouver, Ocampo, I feel like this is pretty common own goal to see happen. It sucks that it happened in the MLS Cup Final for Vancouver. It kind of just cut their mood, and not only that, but it was in the 8th minute, so it was basically it was the start of the game, so they kind of had to build up that momentum back up to get into it. And that was pretty much it for the first half. The momentum for the entire first half was all Inter Miami. Vancouver kind of wasn't there. Then the second half starts, and I'm downstairs watching it with my wife, and they score the first goal. Brian White gets the ball and passes it off to Ali Ahmed for Canada, and he just shoots it.
The Canadian Messi, bro.
The Canadian Messi. And he shoots it, and I don't know if I would call it a mistake. Reyes says that the ball bounced a little bit before Rios Novos was able to get to it, but it kind of hits his hand, hits the post, and goes in. And I mean, after that, like even before then, like Vancouver was just all over Miami. Like if you watching the game live, it just felt like Miami's gonna lose this game. Just Vancouver was just pressing them, and the Miami defense. It felt to me like they were kind of reverting back to how they were when we were talking about them prior to the playoffs, where they were kind of dysfunctional, running around all over the place. And yeah, so that happened, and then I believe I don't know the exact time that it happened, but as this is going off right here, it says it at second minute. So Ahmed scored in the 60th. 2 minutes later, Vancouver gets a great shot. And as I've been saying, the best defensive player of the playoffs this year was the post because it hits the post, it hits the other post, and goes out. And as it's traveling out, I believe it's Ahmed as well that hit the post. He is able to get his own rebound because Falcone touches the ball a little bit bad and it goes towards the goal, but Rios Novos and Falcone are able to get there and stop that. And after that, it kind of was still all Vancouver, but what's his name? Cubas was over here playing with the ball for a little too long, and Messi was right in front of him, and when he realized he was holding the ball for too long, comes in, does a little step, takes the ball away from him, and just gives a great pass to DePaul just in between the defenders. DePaul slots it in, left side of the goal, and they go up 2-1. And from there, I felt like Vancouver still had a chance. Same thing, still attacking, still looking dangerous, but Miami was able to hold off for just long enough for Jordi Alba to give a pass to Messi. And then if you look at this, he like chests it, and before it even touches the ground, he gives a little chip over to Allende. And at that point, it's basically a one-on-one between the goalie. And I mean, Allende breaks the record for most goals in a playoff series with the last kick of the game, pretty much. And the game ends up ending 3-1, which, the scoreline kind of maybe shows that Miami's looked like they dominated, but if you look at the stats, Vancouver pretty much beat them in everything, including possession, which Miami's usually the team that possesses a lot. So, I mean, after
Was that like 65% possession for Vancouver?
Yeah, 65% possession for Vancouver, 35% for Miami, and I believe they also had more shots. Yeah, they had 10 total shots, 4 on target. And I mean, Rios Novos played a really good game. And I mean, what do you think? How did you see, based off the highlights? How did the game look to you?
Yeah, man. Like one of the first things that I was checking out was some of those stats, like you mentioned, 65% possession, 10 shots on goal for Vancouver, and just man, like it looked like they couldn't finish. Like in looking at the highlights, there was a couple of sloppy moments there, like you mentioned there on the 71st minute, where Messi got that goal right on the 71st minute to make it 2-1.
He got the assist to DePaul.
It says to DePaul, that's right, to make it 2-1 there. And from that point forward, it was like I felt like that was all she wrote from what I was able to see there. You're probably going to get into it, and I will allow you to give your man his praise. I know that Messi was named something at the end of this game for, I believe, the second time in a row, but I'll let you sing his praise. And then man, overall, Miami was just dominant. They were the better team this game. Vancouver has been phenomenal all season. It's not to take anything away from their performance. They've been really solid all season. It's just unfortunate. Miami wanted it more. It was the farewell tour for a couple of those guys there for just like one last hurrah for some of those players like Messi, who's been playing, for these players who've been playing together for a long time. So hats off to you, Miami. Very well done. And man, like I wish I could have watched this whole game alongside you guys, but yeah. I don't know.
No, yeah, it was a really good game, honestly. Like I said, the 3-1 score doesn't really show too well how this game was, because it was pretty much close the entire game. Because as you can see, the third goal was scored in the 90th minute, and at that point, once that was scored, Miami knew it was over. Vancouver knew it was over, but. So you mentioned how he won the MVP award at the end of the game, and I saw a lot of people actually getting confused because that was not the MLS MVP trophy. That was just the MLS Cup MVP trophy. So technically he hadn't been named the MLS MVP up until that point, but as of today, he has been named the MLS MVP. So he has won it back to back for the first time ever in the MLS.
Thomas Muller was robbed. He was robbed, man.
Yeah, he was robbed for trying to steal Messi's crown. But yeah, like I said, this season has been crazy. Miami, Messi, everything. Like, I do it too much, but with the season ending and Miami being in the final, you kind of just have to, talk about how good of a team Miami ended up being this year and how good of a player Messi was this year, because not only did Tadeo Allende break the goal for or the record for most goals in a playoff season, he also broke the record for most goal involvement in the MLS season. I don't know if you saw, I don't know exactly how many it is after NYCFC, but up until that game, they had scored 12 goals in total, and Messi had scored 6 and assisted 6. So he was literally involved in every single goal up until that game. And then in that game, he assisted 1 and he assisted 2 in the final, which is what got him the MVP. And not only that, but Inter Miami broke the record for most goals scored in a season, which was 101 goals. So I mean, they
And
were.
dude, also, like, it completes Miami's set. They got the Leagues Cup in 2023, Porter Shield 2024, and the MLS Cup just now, all 3 seasons within signing Messi, right? So that's absolutely insane. It goes to show, again, Vern can glaze Messi enough for all of us, but I will add a little bit of my own Krispy Kreme glaze on here. Bro, like, how insane to go into an organization and have this big of an impact, right? And like I was mentioning, right, I forgot their names were escaping me, but for also being the farewell game for Jordi Alba and Sergio Busquets, bro, like, they're going out as champions. They're going out having played right next to the GOAT. How freaking cool. Like, at the end of the day, like, it's a pretty amazing feel-good story. People can go online and say all they want that, like, oh, this is all marketing. They just wanted Miami to win, et cetera, et cetera. But, like, bro, like, Messi's been in the league for a minute. Like, this is the first time that they've actually gone through and won it. Like, have they looked dominant? For sure. But it's not, also goes to show that these other teams have also been competitive. Like, Reyes always talks about that. It's any given Sunday, right? Any team can beat any team any given Sunday. It just always depends. You just never know. And that's what's been most exciting about the MLS. And that's what really makes me want to say, like, hats off to you, Miami. Very deserved championship. But man, so cool. So cool.
Yeah, I know. It's so hard with it. Just it's so weird. Like, that was the last game, of the season. So now there's not much to go around. But yeah, I mean, we shouted out Inter Miami and everything, but I also kind of wanted to talk about Vancouver and sort of this run that they had going into the playoffs. They were the best team in the West pretty much the entire year. San Diego was there neck and neck with them. At the end of the season, they kind of choked that number 1 seed to be at home, but they were like, it doesn't matter to us. We're going to go to San Diego and beat you anyways. So they had a very difficult route to the playoffs, because I feel like they played the two best teams going into it. Like, they had to play LAFC. They had to play San Diego, which were obviously the 2 and 3 seeded teams in the West, and they got, I don't want to say lucky, but well, you know what? I will say lucky, because I was watching the interview with Mascherano, and he was talking about that post hit, the double post hit, and he's saying that's the luck you need to be able to win a championship. So, you know what? Saying they got lucky is not me, trying to disrespect what they're saying. Like, luck is involved in this. So they got pretty lucky with LAFC. They were up the entire game. Sun comes in, does that. San Diego comes in, and they, made up for the LAFC performance by coming into San Diego's home and just absolutely demolishing San Diego 3-1 to go into the final. And they played a really good final. This wasn't a boring game. They were in it pretty much the entire time up until the 90th minute. I just wanted to shout them out and, say how good of a season that they had, especially with the addition of Thomas Mueller, a lot of the guys that were there, Bert Halter, Brian White, Kubas, and I can never say his name, but their goalie. Their goalie was also like in the top 3 of goalies for the year. Taka Oaka. So yeah, shout out to Vancouver. Shout out to the people out in Canada. You almost had 2 champions, but unfortunately for them, Inter Miami had to come in and ruin the party. So
Pouring one out for you, Vancouver. Pouring one out for you, Ocampo, on that own goal, man. And pouring one out to Vancouver's backline, man. They just couldn't figure out Messi and that attack from Miami. So a couple bad moments there that ultimately cost them the game. But like you mentioned, like nothing overall that was like, oh my gosh, Vancouver's an awful team. They're getting blown out.
Mm-hmm.
Solid team. But dude, looking forward to 2026. I know that's something else that we had coming up to talk about was some of these players who are going to be free agents in 2026. Who's going to move the needle? Is there anybody who you're keeping an eye out? Is there? So yeah, just transition over to some of this free agency talk and looking forward to the 2026 season.
Yeah, I mean, did you see the article by chance and see some of these big name people out there?
Yeah.
Okay, so the one I wanted to talk about is Dane St. Clair, who just recently won the best MLS goalie, So basically, he's going to go into this next year. Either he's going to make a contract extension with the Loons, Minnesota, or, with the World Cup coming up, a thing that happens is a lot of these players are now on the world stage. There's a lot of eyes looking at them, and he is more likely than not, unless something goes very wrong, he's going to be the starting goalkeeper for Canada. And with them being a host nation, I feel like they're going to have quite a few eyes on them versus some other World Cups. And, if a European club comes in and sees what he's capable of, he might be leaving the Minnesota United. But for now, I feel like it looks like he's going to sign an extension with Minnesota. So
that's going to be definitely interesting to keep an eye on St. Clair there. Been an awesome goalkeeper for Minnesota. Overall, bro, like it's crazy. I was scrolling through this class of 2026 free agents. There is an abnormal amount of goalkeepers. Like literally half the league could upgrade their goalkeeper this window in 2026. So really a good market for having goalies here. Like you mentioned on St. Clair there, but also Haak, Haak. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing their name. But yeah, another goalkeeper to be able to keep an eye out there that could move the needle.
Haak.
No, sorry, not goalkeeper. Sorry, Haak is the defensive mid. I'm so sorry, bro. This is where I'm at on my day. Justin Haak for New York City FC. Center back, defensive mid, plays high center back, passing like a midfielder. I believe that he is a homegrown talent. Really, when we've been talking about in our podcast recently, right, how are we going to, who's going to be these upcoming players? Who should we keep an eye out? I believe that Justin is definitely one of those players to keep an eye out there in New York City FC, who is up for grabs.
Yeah, definitely. And he is the only person that scored for NYCFC against Inter Miami. So he's the one that scored that header. That freaking monster header against Inter Miami. So he's really good. And I mean,
also, no, sorry, I was just keeping Christian Espinoza in San Jose, the right wing there. A little bit older in their 30s, but another person that can create a lot of chances there in the MLS. I believe that he led the MLS in key passes in 2025 there. So another could be a solid pickup there for another team, but designated player slot, do you think? Yes, sir.
Yeah. Sorry, I was reading the Rothrock thing. Sorry, I was a bit distracted. This is why I can't carry. This is why I can't be the freaking leader, bro. I get too distracted all over the place.
You're all good, bro. That's why El Cap keeps us in check.
I know he keeps us in check, bro. It's he messed me up, bro. I was supposed to be here talking smack. Now he's got my head all freaking in the air. He knows what he's doing. But yeah, I mean, the San Jose Quakes, they didn't do very well, so no. I don't know if I'm looking at it, he is a bit old. If you want to keep him just for out of respect for him, keep him, but I'd probably look at offloading him, getting him to another team while you still can. He's 31, he's not the oldest, we're talking like he's old and we're right there. So
just turned 30, bro. What are you talking about?
So like he can still offer something for some teams, but I feel like San Jose should probably get rid of him now while they still can, and pretty much rebuild, because another one of the free agents is Josef Martinez, who is also on the San Jose Earthquakes. So obviously something didn't work out with them last year, and with these people leaving or possibly leaving, I mean, you should come in and get some younger players going on. Like, I don't know, maybe possibly Rothrock. I don't think that's even like a possibility for them. I don't know if he's in that in that conversation. But with him being a free agent, and I know people were trading in their Messi jerseys for Rothrock jerseys, they should have just kept the Messi jerseys because he's probably going to be at Inter Miami longer than Rothrock is going to be in Seattle. But I mean, with Rothrock possibly leaving, he could join the San Jose Earthquakes. I'm just going based off these free agents. I'm not saying that they're looking into it, but he's 26 years old, and why not bring somebody into that's that young, has proven that he's a good player. But from what this is saying is Nashville, LA, and Houston or Orlando are the ones that could possibly be getting him. So he's probably looking to be in a bigger market than San Jose.
And then kind of lastly for me here, yes, there's a lot of these younger guys who are up for grabs, but there's also a couple of these older guys that a team could pick up for maybe 1 to 2 years. I'm looking at Benteke and Joseph there. Benteke is 35 years old, playing with DC United, but he could be a solid pickup, like I mentioned. And then also Benteke and Joseph be coming in at a little bit older as well, but he is an elite box finisher. It's the 93rd percentile in non-penalty goals in 2025 and 88th percentile in 2024. Couple players there that could do some damage, a little bit older, but like we're saying, man, like, I don't know, maybe Miami could look at them being the retirement house for players. Who knows?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
And I mean, like, Benteke, maybe Benteke can still produce in the league because only 2 years ago he won the Golden Boot. It's not like, he dropped off. Obviously he dropped off this year. I want to say this past year, but technically it's still this year. But DC United was also a really bad team. So maybe getting him out of there and going to, I don't know what teams need a striker right now, but somebody else. I wouldn't say Miami just because of the fact that they realized having an old striker is not working out for them, so they wouldn't want somebody like that. But so Josef Martinez, same thing. He's could be doing well. I have seen some stuff saying how Tata Martino is going back to Atlanta, and they're saying, oh, let's bring Josef Martinez back to Atlanta. But I don't think, I mean, as a backup maybe, but your glory days happened. It's unfortunately, at least for those players. I'm not saying Atlanta can't come back, but it happens. So just let the past be the past and keep going forward, especially with what's his name? Do you remember his name? I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but he's like one of the highest paid strikers. It's Lath for Atlanta United. You have him, so I don't see why you would want to bring back a Josef Martinez. But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting what happens with all these free agents. They're all pretty good players. They're some of the top players in their teams. Maybe they'll re-sign. Maybe they'll go somewhere else. More likely than not, a lot of these players, I feel like they re-sign. At least some of these younger guys, maybe some of these veterans that we mentioned will probably be going somewhere. I know Walker Zimmerman has been floated around as possibly joining RSL. I don't know if you know who Zimmerman is, but he plays for Nashville, and if I'm not mistaken, he plays for the US national team too. He's played in a couple World Cups for them, but I'm trying to think. Yeah, so he's played for FC Dallas. He played for Los Angeles from 18 to 19. So he's been in the MLS pretty much his entire life. So there's a defender that left RSL recently, and Zimmerman is the option that they're possibly looking at replacing. I can't think of his name, the defender, but basically RSL only got rid of him because he was like, yeah, dude, I don't want to play with you guys anymore. And his contract was going to expire. So they were just like, hey, let's get him out now. They got like 1.2 million in allocated money and a bunch of stuff like that. Let me see. Vera was his name. He's a 26-year-old, and he was starting for RSL, but when you're playing for a not so good team, you're usually wanting to get out ASAP, and with his contract ending, they sort of just had to get rid of him. Maybe they didn't want to. They probably wanted to keep him, but yep, they had to get rid of him because he didn't want to play for you guys anymore. So unfortunate. Well, that's it for the free agents. Do you want to talk about what do you?
No, I was going to just take it over to the World Cup. We're going to talk a little bit about NCAA college ball here. I wanted to say that a little bit more with El Cap, who's a little bit more familiar and well versed in this college world. But looking at the World Cup, man, there was some exciting stuff that also happened over this last week in regard to the World Cup, man. What did you see? What did you think about the draw? I'm also curious for our fans out there. Who do you think is in the group of death? Which group is the group of death? Throw them in the comments below. We'd definitely love to hear your opinions as to who you think the World Cup winners are after that draw, and maybe who those losers are as well. But Fern, do you have any immediate thoughts?
So one of the first things I saw is somebody was watching the draw and they're like, paid $3,000 for my tickets, because obviously when you were purchasing your tickets, you didn't know who was going to be playing and stuff like that. And I don't remember the exact teams. I just remember one of them was Iran, and he had paid like $2,000 just to be able to go watch this game. And I don't want to make it sound bad, but he probably wasn't wanting to watch Iran play in the World Cup. So that's kind of what happens when you're buying tickets ahead of the World Cup. But I mean, these groups kind of seem a bit more, I don't know, maybe I'm in the wrong, but I feel like they seem a bit more level in ability, not ability, and like bigness, like I feel like there's not one crazy group of death that I saw. So I feel like these are all pretty even is the word I was trying to say. I'm looking up the groups right now.
Like there, I also had the same thought, and then as I started looking through a couple of these groups, I believe it was Group I with France, Senegal, Norway, and then
Yeah.
they have like whether it could be Bolivia, Iraq, or Suriname, depending on who wins their playoff there. But you get Mbappe and Holland, bro, plus some African champions with Senegal there. A lot of people are saying that this could be the real group of death.
Yeah.
It is a powerhouse there. Another group I was looking at too, if you have it pulled up, Group L, England, Croatia, Panama, Ghana. England rerun with Croatia from the 2018 semifinals. Ghana, bro, I've always loved watching Ghana play. They bring a lot of excitement to the World Cup. Devastating what's happened to them in past World Cups, but definitely somebody fun. And then Panama knows them from 2018, and this is another one of those groups that some people have been talking about being the group of death as well. And the last one I'll call out, not to monopolize all the time here, but Group C, man, also with Brazil, Morocco, Scotland, and Haiti. Five-time champs, Brazil. It's never fun to be in the same group as them. Semi-finalist Morocco with the 2022 there. Scotland, always fun to watch. And then Haiti back at a World Cup for the first time since 1974. So we'll see. Good luck, Haiti, in that group. We'll be seeing you. But those are a couple groups that really caught my eye when it came to the group of death.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't even notice Group I. France, obviously, runners up last year. Norway has not been to a World Cup in a minute, but they have a really good team. They have Holland, so whenever you have a player like Holland, you're automatically going to be looked at as a favorite. They also have Odegaard, who plays for Arsenal. But then I was like, oh yeah, Senegal, I completely forgot about them. They have Mane. I don't know if he's going to be playing. I would assume they'd probably want him to play, but I was looking at some of these players and I just forgot how stacked Senegal is. They're not a bad team, like you said. They are the AFCON champions, so you don't just win your continent's trophy for no reason. So that's a really good group. And then England, Croatia, Panama, Ghana. Panama, I feel bad for them. I feel like Ghana, Croatia, and England, you always hear those names in the World Cup, So that's going to suck for Panama. You know what? Prove me wrong. Obviously, like you said, Morocco finished in the semis last year. I believe they finished fourth. I don't remember how that third place game went. Honestly, I didn't watch it. But Brazil, they're going to have a fire under their bottoms because they've been playing really bad in these last few World Cups. Like you said, they're a 5-time world champion. 3 years ago or 3 World Cups ago, they made it to the semis and they got embarrassed. And ever since then, it's kind of been a downward spiral for them. So I'm hoping that Brazil has a really good World Cup this year. Based off their group, they should be able to get out. I'm not going to, commit anything. Scotland has been playing really well too. I don't know how much you know about Scotland, but they've been playing really well. This is their first time in the World Cup in a while, if not the first.
Them in Haiti, bro.
Yeah. Yeah,
First time in a
Haiti.
minute.
Yeah, so I mean, yeah, some of these groups, I would say Argentina got very lucky with their group. Spain also very lucky with their group.
Bro, not to interrupt, who do you think won out of the host nations, bro? Because that's like also interesting. And just to like bring him up here, we got Mexico in Group A. We have Mexico, South Korea, South Africa. The playoff winner, the UEFA playoff D winner between Denmark, Czechia, Republic of Ireland, North Macedonia, and then the opening game there being Mexico versus South Africa at Stadio Azteca. Very exciting one there. But then, so going back to the question though, Canada in Group B, they get Switzerland, Qatar, and then the winner, which could be Italy for Canada. So it could be interesting to see if we could maybe get an Italy-Canada game there in Toronto. And then we have the USA there in Group D, which includes Australia, Paraguay, and then the UEFA Playoff C winner, which could be Romania, Turkey, Slovakia, Costco, and then the US opens against Paraguay at SoFi on June 12th so they'll be playing Paraguay on June 12th there. So, but yeah, man, who do you think? Costco? They're only playing the Costco Bowl, bro.
No. Costco made it. Costco's so big, they got their own country, their own team. So
their own team, no. Bro, but yeah, who do you think won out of the host nations?
So first, I want to mention Italy. If Italy can get into the World Cup, this will be big for them. Like I said, they haven't been in the World Cup. Like I said in the group, they haven't been in the World Cup since we were in high school, which I don't know if you realize that, because Italy is also one of like the winningest teams in the world for the World Cup. So if they can get in, this will make the group for Canada a bit more difficult. I don't want to write Qatar off too easily. Maybe this is a North American bias of me, but I feel like Canada should be able to get out of this group. With Italy being there, it'll be harder. Italy has some really good players. I know they've missed out on a few World Cups. Things haven't gone their way, but they also won the Euros a few years ago. So they're not a horrible team. They just haven't been playing to the standard that they need to get into the World Cup, especially when you think of like Europe. A lot of these teams that get in, like you're having to beat some of like the biggest teams in the world just to get into the World Cup. So yeah, I think the US won this, in my opinion. Paraguay is decent. Australia played really well against Argentina last year. They don't have a horrible team. Honestly, the teams that you named off that could possibly be in their group don't give me any worry that the US can't compete against them. So I feel like the US definitely won between the three. I think Mexico probably got it the worst. I don't know what you think, but they have South Africa, which is a repeat of the 2010 World Cup. And they're having to fight against their compas, the South Koreans, the people that sent them into the knockout stages of the 2018 World Cup. And I mean, South Africa is decent. I'm not going to say they're the best team. I would say South Korea is probably better than them. I would think Mexico and South Korea are better than them, but they love football and they're going to be there to fight. So I think the US won this group off, and Mexico probably has it the worst off, in my opinion, but I still believe that they should be able to make it. Again, North American biased of me, but I feel like all three of the host nations should make it out of the group stage. If they're not out of the group stage, they messed up somewhere. I don't know where they messed up. I don't know what's going to happen, but they should definitely be making it out. And not only that, now they have an extra option because, like we said, the top 8 third place teams can get out of there. So as long as, even if you don't make it in the top 2, just make sure you're not as ass as the other teams and you're in. So
no, 100%, man. You, not to beat a dead horse, I completely agree. I think Mexico definitely has the toughest path ahead. All of them should be okay. Mexico, I'm just looking there. I think if Denmark makes it through, I think Denmark historically has also been one of those other really good teams as well that has performed, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong, though, Fern. I could be thinking of another country.
Yeah, no, Denmark, they haven't been the best either. But in the most recent World Cups, I feel like they've been a decent team. So we'll see how that goes. I feel like a lot of the thing is, with the World Cup being every 4 years, a lot of these players are starting to like age out. So, they did good this past year, but 4 years happened. their players are a bit older. So that's the hard part about the World Cup is you can't just keep trying every year. Like if you mess up that World Cup, you got to wait 4 more years, and you might not even get the chance because who knows what's going to happen in those four years, you know? So yeah, I honestly don't know too much about Denmark or any of the other teams that could possibly make it in, but with just South Africa and South Korea, I feel like it's going to be a bit difficult, especially having a son playing against Mexico. So we'll see how that goes. That's going to be an interesting game because, like I said, they're compas. So I'm excited to see how those fan interactions are during that game.
Definitely going to be a fun one there. But yeah, man, I love the World Cup. Like I mentioned when we first started this podcast here, 2 episodes ago, 41 episodes ago, because that would have been our first episode. Just how excited like I become just thinking about the World Cup. We got a couple of countries who are making their first time debut, making their Cinderella run. There is going to be really exciting to see what they can pull off. Cape Verde, Curacao, Jordan, and Uzbekistan. That is, yeah, and they're spread across groups E, H, J, and K. So it's so cool, man. Just like first time ever making it into the World Cup. It'll be so cool for some of these countries and their people to be able to celebrate and be able to see their teams on the world stage. Will they make it very far? Who knows, right? There's some of these teams who are going to be playing some powerhouses, but still exciting nevertheless. I did want to like highlight though, man, what did you just think about, in my opinion, a very Americanized FIFA World Cup draw? People online were calling it cringe. Some people were like, yeah, this was sick. Some people were like, yeah, this is very American. Regardless of what you call it, right? You had the Village People performing the YMCA. Heidi Klum, Kevin Hart were hosting there. Danny Ramirez was on stage. A whole bunch of people, man, and a bunch of athletes too showing up there with Tom Brady, Shaquille O'Neal, Wayne Gretzky. I don't know, like very, very interesting. There was a peace prize that for the first time ever has been given. I don't know if you saw, there was a human rights group that immediately filed an ethics complaint into arguing that Infantino broke FIFA's political neutrality rules by effectively doing a political tribute at a sporting event, which is, again, we've talked about it, right? This isn't new. FIFA does this all of the time. They want to get in the good graces of whichever country they're going to be visiting, because if you are in the good graces of that country's leader, you can get away with so much. There's going to be so little red tape. And again, considering what's been going on, right? We know that Trump has wanted a Nobel Peace Prize. This Peace Prize is also very interesting. We're not a political podcast, but again, it is interesting to talk about how FIFA has a lot of power and a lot of sway, regardless if it's here in the US, regardless if it was in Qatar, regardless if it was in Russia. It doesn't matter. This is what they do. They play the political games and they do what they can so they can get the most that they can out of whichever country is hosting them at any given moment. Again, we're not a politics podcast. Want to keep it focused on the game, but it was very interesting too. And I had to call out that it was a very, very Americanized World Cup draw. I'm not saying it's a good or a bad thing. I just was curious to see maybe what you think or maybe what some of our viewers think about that World Cup draw, if you were able to see it.
Yeah, so I was at work. I didn't see it, but I obviously during my lunch I saw all the stuff going on, all the people talking about like, bro, what the heck is this? What's going on? And to people outside of the US, it may seem weird. This is a very normal to us, you know. There's a lot of like I really liked how I was watching a podcast of these UK. He used to be a professional goalkeeper. He came in, he interviewed some British dude that plays for the New York Red Bulls, and they were talking about how in Europe it's sports first, entertainment second. In the US, it's entertainment first, and then the sports just happen to be there. At least that's kind of how they saw it. And I feel like that's a very good way of describing it because, you know, in the UK or in Europe, I don't know if you know this or not, but you can't bring a beer with you into the stadium. Like you have to drink your beer before you even go into the stadium. And let's say we were at an RSL game and LA Galaxy comes, you wouldn't be able to sit next to any LA Galaxy players or fans. They'd have to be on the opposite side of the stadium. And the RSL fans, there's a lot of segregation going on out there. but it's for the best because there's some crazy stuff that goes on out there. But even like, I don't know if you saw this, but supposedly the World Cup is also going to have a Super Bowl-esque halftime show. And I've seen a lot of people being mad about it. And me personally, I like soccer because it goes into halftime with no interruptions. Then you have your halftime, you have the interruptions, you go into the second half and same thing, and then it's over. So that's what I like about it. I understand the people complaining about everything going on. I don't know if the players will complain about it, but this is kind of what the World Cup is. You're being put into other people's cultures, like that. You're as unfortunate as it is for the fans that are gonna watch it be here. It is a three-way host, but most of the hosting is going to be done here in the U.S. Obviously, each country will open in their own country, play a few games in their own country, but after the group stages, which is only a few games, it's coming straight into the U.S. So, yes, I understand the frustration of the Americanization of the game, but that's the World Cup. You're going into another country, you're experiencing the culture, and unfortunately for you guys, American culture is very rooted in corporatization of everything, trying to make as much money as you possibly can off one things.
No, and I agree, bro. Like, you very beautifully said, right? And that's why I wasn't trying to say like my own opinion, whether it was a good or a bad thing in this Americanization of it, because like at the end of the day, like you said, it was very much like where were they doing the draw? Was it here in the U.S. or where was it?
Let me look into it. I'll get back to you.
Alrighty. But yeah, so like Fern mentioned, yes, this is a three-way split. Would I have loved to see some, maybe Becky G, maybe some Justin Bieber up there representing Canada and maybe some Mexico? For sure. But at the end of the day, like Fern mentioned, it was in Washington, D.C. That is fascinating. I did not know that. But yeah, overall, just one of those moments to recognize and take a step back and say, like, yes, like it was pretty Americanized, but it is also going to be majorly hosted here in the U.S. Yes, I'm excited to see some of that Canadian and Mexican culture come in as well, to see how all three nations are represented here in the World Cup. I think that's going to be really exciting to see. But to Fern's point, we're going to see more of it, baby. Lock in, get ready for that Super Bowl show. There's going to be a lot more to be on the lookout for there. And overall, right, like going back just with the politics piece, we're going to continue to see this from FIFA no matter what. So like just continue to pay attention. Listen to, there's some really cool podcasts. I don't know if we can link them into the show notes here, that I'm talking to the like just political side of FIFA as an organization. Absolutely fascinating. I think people should be aware of kind of like how this organization runs and how they can pull off an event as big as the World Cup, right, with interesting things that happen behind the scenes. But we can hop off of this. I can go down there.
Yeah, no, you're good. But yeah, we'll see how it is, because like I said, a lot of these players might not like the halftime show because you're going to have a big break in between the games. And, I've never seen it for a soccer game that I can think of. And I mean, obviously it happens for the Super Bowl, and I don't know how different it is for a halftime for a football team versus a soccer team, but from the discourse I've seen is a lot of people are not really vibing with the halftime show. So that's my main concern, but we'll see.
As long as it's Justin Bieber, bro.
Yeah.
As long as it's Justin Bieber.
Justin Bieber
headlining the FIFA World Cup.
And
Peso Pluma.
And Post Malone.
There you go, bro. But
yeah, I mean, to kind of finish it off, there was something else that happened today as we get back into the MLS. The Concacaf Champions Cup draw was also completed today, and there's some very interesting things going on in this bracket. I always forget that the Concacaf Champions Cup includes all CONCACAF teams, including South American, or not even South American, sorry, that's my fault. That's not CONCACAF. But a bunch of these other teams here in North America in the CONCACAF region. I don't know, honestly, if I'm being honest with you, I don't know exactly what they are, but I'm going to share this screen with you real quick, show you the full bracket. And there's a couple things I'll point out to you. I don't know if you notice something that I don't, but I want to go straight into the top left of this bracket. If you notice that San Diego is getting thrown straight into the fire of the CONCACAF Champions Cup, because they have to play Pumas, which, decent team. Me personally, I think I'd put San Diego over Pumas at least going based off this year. But so they have to beat Pumas, and then once they beat Pumas, if they beat Pumas, they go straight into one of the best teams in the Mexican La Liga MX is Toluca. They won the champions like twice last year, and they played this Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. Toluca plays this Saturday for another championship, so they're going to try and win the Liga MX once again. So, like I said, they're getting thrown straight into the fire. This is going to be their first Champions Cup appearance. So, I don't know. What do you think about that? About those matchups for San Diego?
Bring it on, bro. Test them. Keep them going. I'd love to see if San Diego can carry on the heat that they've been carrying for this season. I love San Diego as a team. I think it's good. It's a good thing. They showed out this year. I'd love to, it was unfortunate to see them go out the way that they did this past year, but it'll be interesting to see if they can hold up against some of these Liga MX teams and really show that if they are as good as that we think they are here in the MLS.
Yeah.
So that's really how I view it. Like, yeah, it sucks for them. It's like if you're a player there, it's like, yeah, you have a much higher hill to climb. But for me as a viewer, I'm excited to see if San Diego FC can continue to pull off some magic, and we'll get to see a little bit of their games before we get to the Champions Cup, right? And see how what kind of form they're in. But hoping that they can carry some of the momentum from this season and give us a really good show for the Champions Cup.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll see. You know, this hopefully they can carry on their inaugural season hype into the Champions Cup, this being their inaugural season. I find it very tough for them, but they've proven that they can win these tough fights. We'll obviously see how their team shapes up going into next year. We'll see if Chucky Lozano is still on the team. We'll see what changes they feel like they need to make. And then obviously LA Galaxy, I'm not going to say they have an easy road. I don't know any of these teams. Obviously Mount Pleasant did something big in their respective league to be able to get around by. And then Cruz Azul playing the team I was telling you about earlier. I don't know if you noticed, they're playing Vancouver FC, the MLS finalists. Monterrey, obviously, again, because from what I saw, a lot of these teams were from like Peru, Panama, areas like that. Let me see. There's some Mexico, U.S., Panama, Canada, Guatemala, Honduras. I don't know what this tree is. That Trinidad and Tobago? And
Yeah.
The Dominican Republic. No, that's not the Dominican Republic. Somewhere.
Yeah.
Is it?
So we got the Dominican Republic in.
And then
we got
CRC.
Trinidad and Tobago, Panama, Jamaica. CRC is usually Costa Rica.
Costa Rica, facts. There you go. See. But yeah, so LAFC, hopefully, I mean, they're always one of the better teams in this thing. And now we're going to go to the right side of the bracket. We're going to start on the bottom, just real quick. Obviously the runner-ups for the MLS Cup this year, the Whitecaps, are going to be playing Cartaginés. I don't know where they're from.
Cartagines.
I don't know if this is like, obviously it's bias. I'm not going to lie to you guys and tell you that I know where these people play, how good their teams are, but I would assume the Whitecaps win this, and then the Sounders have a bye. So they're going to go and play the Sounders, who actually won the Leagues Cup this past year. And then Cincinnati, again, another team I don't know, but could possibly be a Tigres FC Cincinnati round of 16, which Tigres is...
You don't know ONMFC, bro?
No.
Oh my God, bro.
I know LSM. You know LSM?
No, bro.
Do you actually know? It's not a joke. It's an actual team.
No. LSM?
Yeah. I think they're in Uruguay, but it's Luis Suarez's team that he teamed up with Messi. So what do you think LSM stands for?
Luis Suarez
Messi. Yep. But Tigres, again, this is next year. We're kind of just looking forward into it. I can't definitively say who will be the best teams, but Tigres is going into the final this weekend against Toluca, so they're also one of the better teams in the Liga MX as it stands. We don't know how the teams will play out going into it. I did say Monterrey on the left side. I completely forgot that they have Sergio Ramos, the defender. He's probably out this year. Philadelphia finished the Supporter Shield champions this year. So they did really good. Club America, everybody knows who Club America is. They're probably going to make it pretty far into this. But the reason I wanted to start at the bottom was because of this matchup here. I don't know if you noticed, but Inter Miami is through on a bye for winning the MLS Cup to the round of 16. But in the first round, Ottawa from Canada has to play Nashville SC. So if things go how I'm assuming they're going to go with Nashville winning, this is going to be another matchup between Nashville and Inter Miami. Which these guys cannot seem to get away from each other. I don't know what keeps attracting them to it, but I mean, what do you think of this draw? Obviously this is next year? Who do you think is the favorite to win this entire thing?
Bro, I'm gonna stick to my guns this year. Well, not this year. Like looking into next year, I'm very confident that San Diego FC can continue its Cinderella run. Will like continue its momentum from its Cinderella run and really be able to continue to show out and show that they're a powerhouse within the MLS. I'm curious to see what some of these postseason moves are going to look like, how they rebuild. But I'm just, again, looking far ahead. This is like, we don't know, a lot can happen between now and the Champions Cup. But San Diego, I'm really hopeful for them. There's some, like, again, looking at the brackets overall, that while you were sharing it there, a lot of Liga MX's powerhouses with Cruz Azul, America, Tigres, Monterrey, Toluca. Oh, where'd Vern go? Oh, there you go. Pumas, Tigres. So it's just like a lot of Mexican giants, right? Toluca, you mentioned, they're sitting as their top ranked number 1 seed overall. So we'll see how that goes. But then it's also interesting. I was looking at some of these other teams while you were talking about where they're from. Like O&M FC, like we mentioned, was from the Dominican Republic. They're the Caribbean Cup finalists, making their Champions Cup debut, and they had drawn against, I think they were playing against Cincinnati, like you mentioned. So it'll be interesting to see. FC Cincinnati, don't let me down like you did this year. I'm not holding on to any hope, though. But yeah, man, and some of these other lesser known teams, their Defense Force there with Trinidad and Tobago, like we mentioned. This is their 13th appearance, and they're past champions in 1985, and they're facing Philly there. And then we have Sporting San Miguelito, which is a team from Panama, and they're playing winners from the Central American Cup. And after winning the Central American Cup, it looks like they get Ricky Puig and the LA Galaxy there as their opening game as a reward. And then Mount Pleasant, lastly, we mentioned, are from Jamaica, and they're Caribbean champs that skipped the round 1 and sit directly in the round of 16. And they'll get to play against either Galaxy or San Miguelito. So I don't know, man. There's a little bit of knowledge for you for some of those lesser known teams who could make a Cinderella run. Who knows? But my money's on San Diego FC. Fern, I'm like you already mentioned, I'm sure you're not betting against Miami making it all the way if Nashville doesn't also.
Yeah, because I think the thing we mentioned Miami and Messi and how he's basically won everything the MLS can offer to him: the Supporter Shield, the Eastern Conference champion, and the MLS Cup and Leagues Cup. So those are the 4 trophies he can win in the MLS. I know the one thing that Mascherano mentioned, that their number 1 focus for 2026 is the Champions Cup. So I'm not saying they're going to, not care about any other competition, but I know that they have their eyes set out on this trophy because it's the one that's eluded them. So we'll see how it goes. The Champions Cup games are always pretty interesting. I know Vancouver knocked out Miami this past year. I saw some video saying Messi telling them I'm going to remember this, you guys, I'll remember the fans telling me bye from BC Place, and he reminded them this past Saturday, so he always gets his payback. But yeah, so Champions Cup next year looking pretty good. MLS already has it scheduled for next year, and I mean, like I said, episode 42, the season's over. We are kind of in a what do we do now stage. It's our first year. I know Reyes has us put as coming back February 2026. Obviously, we'll try and do some stuff between here and then, maybe some occasional podcasts, but with it mainly being featured of the MLS. I mean, there's not much talking points going on. Maybe me, Reyes, Lopez, or something will throw up a couple videos whenever there's some news going on to kind of keep the momentum that we've had going. But I don't know. I just want to say thank you to everybody again. Like I said in the beginning, 42 episodes in. We're probably going to take a little bit of a break. I'll be back probably, hopefully, maybe playing some FIFA, maybe playing some Arc Raiders with the boys, something. It's not very soccer related, but just to keep our stuff going. And yeah, I mean, what more can we talk about, Lopez? The season's over. The GOAT did what he
No.
needed to do. I glazed him enough to get him motivated to start his or finish his year off strong. So
Yeah, man, I was tuning in. I was looking at our analytics there, and there was always just that one dot that would appear in our views from Miami, Florida. Just one dot that would consistently appear, and we know that that was our GOAT, bro. That was our GOAT. Watching you call him out as the cracked player of the week every single week.
bro,
Sponsors you want, like, so, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm surprised that they're all saying like, oh, he scored the most goals, he scored the most, or he had the most assists, most goals and assists. Why didn't they ever talk about how he had the most cracked player of the week picks, huh?
Most cracked player of the week picks from the Crack Soccer podcast, bro. Exactly. So, like I mentioned, Sunflower Seeds sponsor us for the Cracked Soccer podcast, or if you're a beverage company out there, reach out to us.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, like Fern mentioned, thank you all for watching. Like, if you enjoyed the podcast, like we have been trying to grow and develop a lot. As you can tell, even today we had a lot of choppy moments there with me messing up my notes. But it happens, and hopefully you all are enjoying it. Give us feedback. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, and we'll gladly adjust and see if we can change up some things as we go to the next season. But Fern, yeah, I'd love to play some Arc Raiders or get something going, even if we're just talking to MLS while we play some video games. I think it'd be fun to just get some extra content out there. So, yeah, let us know what you all want to see. We'll be here. But other than that, thank you all so much for bearing with us this season.
And don't think, Reyes, I'm gonna come back February 2026, and I'm gonna remind you of the game that happened this past Saturday. You're not getting away from me, Lopez or Reyes. You too, Lopez, but Reyes specifically because he didn't want to show up.
I took my licks, bro. I took my licks. And here's the thing. You said that you stuck with Miami the whole season. I stuck with Cincinnati the whole season from when I called them at the very beginning. And I picked them till the very end.
Me and Lopez don't switch up. Reyes had San Jose going, so we'll see how that goes. Just kidding. Okay, see you guys.